I'm Katherine Gypson for AAM Insight. Today I have the privilege of speaking with Karinna Moskalenko, the founder of the International Protection Center and a leading human rights activist in Russia. Ms. Moskalenko, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. The case that most American viewers, the case of yours that most Americans would recognize is the case of Anna Politkovskaya,
Yes.
outspoken Russian journalist who was murdered in 2006. Tell us where that case stands right now.
After 3.5 years of investigation, the result is 0. That's full stop. They can speculate on whatever they want. I mean, they means the investigative authorities, but the family, which I am representing in not only domestic court but also at the European Court of Human Rights, the family wants to know the truth, and it's very likely that the authorities are not going to tell the truth. But what we have decided, if they completely failed to do something in this case, or they are not allowed to do this, then we have a really good, interesting and strong concept of the violation on right to life, in sense of the not compliance with the obligation of the authorities to prevent the killing if there are reasonable suspicion that it can happen, and there were some of them, to investigate case. Non-effective investigation of the case without result tends to be a violation on right to life from the positive obligation, on the side of positive obligation on right to life.
Now, a few days before a pretrial hearing in the Politkovskaya case, you got very sick, just the day before the pretrial hearing. Can you tell us what you found in your car after you got sick?
Well, at that time, be very careful with wordings. I said that it is a substance very similar to mercury. Later on, it was discovered that this is actually mercury. But as the investigative authorities of République Française, they said that they investigated this issue, and that is just occasionally somebody broken some equipment with a huge amount of mercury, like 2 or 3 kilos. Well, imagine this is not like this. Maybe it is like this, but even if not, as I'm still alive, nobody would open the real criminal case on that. And the most important thing, and here I sympathize to the French police, even we imagine that this is some wrongdoing against me, still the police of which country would be so brave and so effective to disclose this case?
Now, it may seem strange to viewers that the case, the Mikhail Khodorkovsky case, he's a former multimillionaire oil mogul. It may seem strange to viewers that that's a human rights case. Can you explain how that is?
It's a good question. I mean, when I always defended those moneyless people because they were the most hopeless. And when I have noticed that this man became also hopeless, and that is not anymore important that he was a rich man or not. He is an opponent of the authorities. He is a political prisoner. He has in his case, all the indications of political persecution, and this is a case of the honor to represent at the European Court. One is because this brave man came back to Russia when everybody expected him to remain in the United States with many influential people as his friends. But he came back to Moscow and he said that if you want to arrest me, you can do that. But I would prefer to be a political prisoner than political immigrant. That was his principal position.
And what did the Russian government accuse him of? What did
The first case was the tax evasion, and in reality that was not any criminal act which he committed. He used all opportunities of the former law, and he recognized that some of the law provisions were not perfect, and he is ready to revise his own attitude to that. The authorities but the authorities are not ready to revise everything what happened in the early 90s. He is open to that, and his charge had no anything doing with reality. But his second charge is completely absurd, because they said there was a oil company production. They sold it according to their rights based on their domestic law. And after all, today they say, no, all this oil they have stolen. They are guilty in embezzlement and money laundering. And if they have stolen entire the production of this company, for what they can be responsible of non-paying or less paying the taxes. I mean, they don't even care about the logical inconvenience.
So what's the real reason? Why is he being perceived as a threat?
It's now clear. They want to keep him in jail. They wanted to take the assets, the whole company. They did it. And this is a big, big state fraud, state organized crime, I would say. And my client says like this, and I completely agree with his assessment on that. And they want him to stay in prison as long as he remains alive. And this is very, very difficult case for me.
Do you think within Russia, in the general public, there's an awareness of the importance of these issues?
Oh, it's mainly a question about the free media.
Right.
Very much about the free media. Sometimes I'm very sad to listen that Russian people are not very interested in knowing truth. They don't care about the killings and some torture facts, and our people are very much misled by the media. Some people who are aware or become aware, they become more, they understand better. But for this, something has to touch themselves. Mm-hmm. It's with any human being. But I agree with you. Majority of Russian people do not know the truth. And as my friend and now client Karinna Kasparov says, let us have media in 2 weeks, not us as an opposition, but just free media. In 2 weeks, I promise you the Russian population would know the truth.
Do you think the American public has an awareness of human rights issues within Russia?
What I know for sure, I have so many questions in all the auditoriums, in all the meetings, so many questions, and I thought that Americans normally think about their own life. They are so far from Europe, and they are even more far from Russia, but they care.
Thank you very much for your time, Ms. Moskalenko. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me.